The annual release of previously undisclosed cabinet papers has highlighted the Howard government's internal deliberations shaping its decision to join the US invasion of Iraq. The ADF was deployed to Iraq to help locate and destroy suspected weapons of mass destruction, but an intelligence failure meant no weapons were ever found.
Australia's decision to follow the US into Iraq would come to define parts of Prime Minister John Howard's legacy.
I realise very much it's an extremely serious decision.
20 years on, the conversations John Howard had with his cabinet on the eve of the invasion are now public as part of the annual New Year's Day disclosure of previously sealed documents. The cabinet papers reveal on March 18, 2003, Prime Minister Howard informed them that very shortly US President George W. Bush would be issuing a final ultimatum to Iraq's leader.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
A request from President Bush had arrived that morning that Australia helped to disarm Iraq of its weapons of mass destruction. Weapons the Cabinet noted were one of the greatest threats to Australia's security at that time. Humanitarian concerns were another justification. ADF deployments were agreed to, and Australia officially joined the US-led Coalition of the Willing. In the days that followed, a live National Press Club address by the opposition leader Simon Crean was interrupted when bombs rained on Baghdad.
Urged the United States not to go to the inevitability of war.
This is breaking news.
Within the last 10 seconds or so, we've heard air raid sirens in the Iraqi capital.
Question time was fiery.
You're supposed to be the leader of a political party, not a child in a primary school.
A ground invasion of Iraq then followed.
Keep coming!
Keep coming! Get in there! Get in there! Go!
And when Saddam Hussein was toppled, the search for WMDs ramped up.
There aren't signs along the road to Baghdad saying WMD 5 kilometres from here.
But none were found. Robert Hill was Defence Minister at the time. 20 years on, he has this theory about Saddam Hussein and the existence of weapons.
Why weren't they there? I don't know. Nobody knows. I suspect he'd actually got rid of them, but he was not prepared to really unambiguously communicate that because it would make him look weak.
The former Defence Minister has since concluded there was a fatal flaw within the global intelligence community. Too many nations relied on the same sources of information.
They were actually reinforcing each other's position, and there may not have been the suite of different source information that I believe that there was.
The writings on Iraq since 2003 have shown, I think, that the Bush administration exaggerated the threat of weapons of mass destruction.
The former Liberal senator still believes the potential threat of WMDs was so great, the preemptive strike against Iraq was the right choice.
How do you think that you reflect on what we should do today in dealing with similar situations?
I wouldn't wait until the hypersonic weapon is on its way. I think that self-defence would require a nation-state to act earlier.
But he has this advice to the current generation of intelligence officers.
Don't overestimate your information. Maybe test it a little more, question a little more. Don't jump to conclusions.
There were no submissions to Cabinet on the costs, benefits and implications of Australia's entry into the war. Key decisions, it seems, were left to the National Security Committee, and those records remain classified.
In terms of the NSC records for 2003, there's been no deliberate decision not to transfer them.
The government's decision to back the US shaped its military alliances to this day.
Three of the strong allies in the Coalition of the Willing, the US, Britain and Australia, are now AUKUS partners from 2021.
Coincidentally, the very same Cabinet meeting in which the invasion of Iraq was agreed to 20 years ago, Cabinet also noted the desire for progress to resolve the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. And with war now raging there 2 decades on, it won't be until 2043 that the public learns what discussions the Albanese government's Cabinet had behind the scenes debating its position and posturing to the conflict in Gaza. Joel Philp, Sky News, Canberra.